Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome back. Welcome back to the PorscheCooled podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things Porsche. Last week was the 100th episode. Steve wasn't here. It wasn't the same without you, Steve. Hello, mate.
I missed
How
it.
are you?
I'm sorry.
You missed it.
Sorry. I had family dramas. I had very sick kids. So 4 days of constant vomiting and stuff like that. It's just had to kind of prioritize all that.
You noticed how I didn't actually say what the reason was. I was very politically correct.
Oh, because you were quite squeamish. Oh, because I didn't. No. I just didn't know if you want me to say what the actual reason was, so I didn't say it. I think Ajmal, Flapcap driver, he came up. He helped us out, and he was going to be with us on the three-way, as other people would have known from if they listened to last week's episode. See, yeah, sorry, Ajmal. That wasn't deliberate in terms of bailing, but yeah, kids' sickness got in the way.
See, Ajmal, I told you it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
No. I made a point of saying that too, because it's like I know I am world's biggest introvert, but more than happy to kind of do a threesome with Ajmal. Go Ajmal. But yeah, no, my daughter was not in good shape, and everything. The juggling act at the moment is pretty intense, so yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy, I have to say, at the moment. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether there's a full moon out there or...
Full moon?
I don't know what it is. Is it full moon, half moon? I don't know. Some days, if I was superstitious, some days I feel like someone's put a curse on me. But I'm not going to get into that. So yes, Steve,
I hate it when
100
people say Mercury rising. Have you heard that?
No, Natasha actually... takes notice of that. She sees that and she says, we can't buy any electrical goods, don't buy a computer, don't buy a phone during this period. Apparently it does make a difference.
What the hell does that mean? Mercury's rising, so then all of a sudden the world falls over.
Mercury retrograde or whatever it is, isn't it? Is that what they call it?
I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to buy any electrical gear or computers or anything during that time. Otherwise, things will all go haywire, apparently.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever done it, so I don't know whether it is true because we actually...
Try it.
We actually... No, there's certain periods. There are certain periods, aren't there, where you're not supposed to buy anything. I got in trouble last week, actually. I got in trouble. Nick, who was on the First Owner Stories, my friend in the UK, had a little joke with me about, what is this about theatre? You know what I mean? Because Ajmal and I were talking about theatre in the beginning of the podcast. About how I enjoy going to plays in London. So that's it. No more theatre talk.
I heard that bit. Yeah, musicals. What the hell's going on there?
It's the UK life. All right, let's get into so you get in the swing of it, Steve, because you weren't here last week. Let me just get into the swing of a few things that we start with.
Yeah, there you go.
Last week's episode, I just want to say thank you again to everyone that said kind words on Instagram, on private DMs, on the YouTube channel, which is at Michael Barth, for the episode. Really appreciate it. Steve and I both appreciate it. It's pretty crazy, actually, and you weren't here, Steve, but I still, I remember when we did the 50th episode, and I think I was in Bahrain, and I said to you, let's see if we can get to 100. And I have to say, when I said that to you, I was jokingly saying it to you because I thought there's no way in the world we can do another 50 episoes and get to 100.
Again.
So
get yourself to 200 or something.
So, like I said, nothing lasts forever. So, let's see what happens. Okay. PorscheCooled. Someone asked me, how do I join PorscheCooled on Patreon? I don't know where to go. What is it? But it's really, really easy. All you do is you go to Patreon, patreon.com. You search PorscheCooled. The podcast page will come up, and then you log in, and then you can join PorscheCooled from $2 to $10 a month. And that's it. It just comes out of your credit card. It supports us. I think they take fees and stuff. I'm not sure how it all works on that side of it. But, they work it all out and they do it for you. And that's all you need to do. So it's either, you just go to patreon.com, search PorscheCooled, or you go patreon.com, is that / or // I never know, / PorscheCooled, Steve. So that's that. But no new members this week. Very upsetting. I thought on our 100th episode we would have had a few new members to the PorscheCooled Exclusive Club, but no new members. So hopefully some will come along in the coming week. PorscheCooled Owner Stories. Huh?
How many members you got now?
A couple of people have dropped off, which is understandable. I know those things happen. I think it was about 27 or 28 Patreon members.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So small. but it's good. Still support. Support is important.
It's all good.
PorscheCooled owner stories this week. It just went live on Tuesday. As you know, Steve and I are recording this on a Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. It's 11:45 here in London. Steve's in Sydney, so it's only early in the morning. But PorscheCooled owner stories went live on Tuesday, and it is James, and James comes in from California. It was good to have Steve, and I know you haven't listened to it, but it was good to have a 997 owner on the podcast again. And I said that to James. I said, I was interested to hear his story because we haven't had someone who's had a 997 for a while, and I'm trying to think who the last person was, and I should remember, but I can't. So James had a 997.
997. Is that Craig dude in Sydney?
No, that Craig was very, very early. There's Kestas, who's got the 997.
Oh, in Italy.
In Italy, there's Kestas, who's been driving, who's always posts really good photos on his Instagram. Kestas, I know you're probably listening, but your photos on your Instagram of the places that you drive to, I think you're in, was it Portofino or somewhere like that the other day?
Yeah, really Portofino.
You're really I think it was Portofino, but honestly, Kestas, those images, they just kill me. It just makes me want to travel. I was only talking the other day, Steve, to Natasha, we used to travel so much, and it's so weird when you think about it now. You just don't go anywhere,
Maybe Kestas is not in Portofino and he's just a master of Photoshop. I could do that.
No, he drives from, he's always driving around Italy, Italian roads. I'm getting off track. 997. So there was Kestas, there was Craig, of course. There was Eric, and there was Amir. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anyone. Anyway, back to this week. James was number 33 in the owner stories. Like I said, Carrera S. Good story. Good story because he has the memories of, an SC when he was a kid. His mother's, I think it was his mother's partner or mother's boyfriend. And then his aunt's husband had a 930 slant nose. So he has memories of riding in those sort of cars, Steve.
Slant nose. Yeah, not sure about that one.
Yeah, but it's good memories, good childhood memories. And I think it was really good. He bought a 997.2 Carrera. He drove it basically in a snowstorm from Oregon back to California. Eventually the snow stopped, and he had his son, who's 12, who's really into cars. I can't remember his son's name, sorry. Who's really into cars, and they took the long way home and drove back. So, I think those things are great. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's sharing memories, you know what I mean? Like what you think about what you're going to do with your daughters. It's like sharing memories for the next generation, things you remember, going on that drive with your dad or, going to Porsche Club meets and, all those sort of things that you do when you get a Porsche or you get a 911 or, that has a really strong community base like Porsche does, especially in the US. And everywhere else around the world.
Just on that, I'm assuming that thing, that connection with your kind of kids, it can either go one of two ways, right? I sort of feel like this with both my daughters, which is they're either going to really, really love the GT3 or they're really, really going to hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see which way that one goes. Because they're either going to go, Dad spends way too much time messing around with that thing and it's too loud and it's too noisy, or they'll share the interest. But I wonder what it is that kind of,
or when they're 10 in 10 years' time, it'll be like, why don't you have an electric car that's so bad for the environment? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, that's going to come, yes.
And why do you have, I won't say that. I was going to say something else, but I won't say it. Okay. So check that out. That's James. His Instagram, you can follow him on Instagram. It's at Carrera _in_the_curves. I think that's right. It's in the description of the podcast. Go and follow James. Tell him you heard his owner's story on the PorscheCooled podcast and give him a follow as well. Apple ratings and reviews. I had a review that just came through this morning, which I just quickly copied, and it's from J993 via Apple Podcasts Australia. So I'm guessing it's a 993 owner. The best Porsche podcast around. I like these titles. Thank you so much. So that just says, congratulations on the 100th podcast. Thanks for all the great Porsche content with real Porsche life stories. And that's what Steve and I like, don't we, Steve? Real Porsche stories. The real people. The people that can...
As opposed to the fake ones.
Until the fake ones that can't afford all the expensive Seinfeld-type cars. I found out, actually, the Apple review... Remember the Apple review a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you it was a fodder? Porsche something fodder was the title. The person who wrote that reached out to me, actually. I know who that is. It's Tips 911, I think it was, who wrote that. And he is in...
Fodder or Waffle?
Waffle or Fodder, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was Tips. He's actually in... I'm going to see where it is now because I need to know. I've got it in front of me. He's in Australia, and he's going to... he reached out to me. He's going to be in an Owner's Stories. He has... I'm going to give it away. It doesn't matter. He has a 912 that he's getting hot rodded in a place in Adelaide, I think it is. Tips 911. Porsche Tragic Fodder was the review. And he's got a 996 and he's got a 912. So he's going to be on a future Owner's Stories when I get around to recording everyone.
Australian Ashmal.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of... and I think it's because I'm getting a lot of more of Australian people actually wanting to be on the Owner's Story, Steve. Next week, Simon's coming on. Simon is he's really into Porsche. He's coming on from Australia, and he was like the start of it. Then I've, this other gentleman, Tips 911. I can't remember his first name. Sorry if you're listening. And then I had another person from New Zealand reach out to me who's got some really good cars. I'm not going to give that one away because that one's going to be really good. He's got some great Porsches, and he's also got the Ferrari that I like, which is that underrated one that Magnus Walker's a keen on. I'm pretty sure it is. I saw it in his picture. It's a yellow one. It's a GT, the GT4 Dino, which I'm kind of keen. I really like the shape of it. I think it's got a really sexy shape. So I think there's a lot coming up in Owner's Stories. There's a lot there to, a lot of people to chat about. So that's good. Hey, what did you think of Ajmal's performance last week? You think it was okay?
I haven't finished it. I keep listening. I'm listening to it at about 15 minutes at a time. It was
really long, that episode. We went really long, yeah. And I actually...
I didn't notice because I've just been all over the shop. So I got past Warhorse.
It was. I think it was about. In all honesty, and Ajmal probably did notice this. I actually cut little bits and pieces out of it because it was quite long. I think we're almost like an hour and a half, so it went a bit over.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
What else was I going to say? So Owner's Stories. Oh, and then I had I recorded an Owner's Story, Steve, on Sunday morning or Saturday morning with Bernard from Brisbane. And Bernard's just got his first 911 at the beginning of the year. He's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And Bernard actually has been chatting to me on Instagram, Steve, and he actually proved me wrong. And I did send this to you earlier. I don't know whether you read it in the notes. He proved me wrong in that Porsche Brisbane. I don't know how. I swear that I read this and someone told me this and it was like fact. Porsche Brisbane had a 997 in the beginning of this year, in February or March. They had a 997 Carrera GTS in manual.
Yeah.
Manual. Now...
Yeah, right.
I had this conversation with...
Pretty rare though, right?
Yeah, and I had this conversation with Paul in New Zealand who bought the one from UK. And I thought he said to me as well they didn't come in manual in this market either. They were PDK only. But I don't know whether this is the only manual or it was some special order for someone at Porsche, or it's very weird because I swear that everything that I read and heard, the GTS, and you've seen them come up, right? The 997 GTS.
Yeah. I don't really follow it that much, but I think, and I probably just repeat whatever the hell you've been sort of saying. So, not like I would know, but
enthusiasts, not experts. Just remember that enthusiasts, not experts.
Just big asterisks. I had no idea.
Well, to all the international listeners, the 997 GTS, I really like the car. Steve's not a big fan of it. He says, "Why would you go the GTS? You should just go straight to the GT3, right, Steve? That's your opinion on that 997 GTS."
If the values are kind of like right up there, then yeah, I'm just going to go. I can kind of see the merit in it, but there was a point I remember when you sort of prodded me at one because you sort of said, "Hey, how about this one?" And it's like, man, you're only like 10 or 15 grand off a GT3. Just get the GT3.
Yeah, and
I'm talking.
I mentioned to Bernard when I was recording his Owner's Stories. I think there was one for, and we're talking about Porsche market today. Talking about prices because this thing with the prices on Porsche, I think it's really coming to the really pointy end here where it's getting very hard to get into the brand if you don't have a lot of cash,
it was like that ages ago. It's dumb. It's just hard.
It's got harder though, hasn't it? It has got, COVID has made it harder.
It's too hard. Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that's because I don't want to get onto the Porsche delivery thing in a second, something I read. But, the 997, so it was available and it was 249,000 Australian dollars.
Whoa.
And
How many miles did it have on it?
It sold pretty much straight away, I think. I think it only had, I don't know. I'd have to find it.
It's okay. Like low?
Lowish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Lowish kilometers. I'm trying to find it now. So while you talk, so just keep talking and I'll find it. For
me, so when I say low, like if it's kind of, below 50 or 60, say for what would probably be 2010 997 thereabouts, GTS. If somebody paid 250 for it, it's like, again, look, it's horses for courses, but I would just kind of go, why don't you just go and get a GT3? Just get a touring GT3 without the roll cage and all of that. It's just a bit more special than the GTS. So it obviously has, it's from Porsche Center, so it had a warranty. Drive away price, actually. It's drive away price, so that makes a big difference. In Australia, that makes a difference. About 10%. It costs you about, 7%? If it's not drive away, extra on top? With duty and stuff? GST? Yeah, it's harder to calculate, but yeah.
Okay, so it's 249,000 Aussie dollars.
Yep.
11,000 kilometers, so it's really low kilometers.
Oh, 11. Okay.
And the other ones that came up, for the listeners, if you guys are interested, the other ones that came up in Australia were 179, and Steve said you'd be effing crazy to pay 179 for a GTS when I showed you that one about 2 years ago.
Oh, it's longer than that.
And that had 50,000 kilometers, I think. And then another couple of other white ones came up. I think a black one came up. I think there was one black one, wasn't there? Some rare one that came up. They're not all in white. There was a black one. But they're all around that price. They were around 179, 169. So I guess for something with such low mileage, it's pretty good. I was more impressed by the fact that it had it was a manual.
Yeah.
Bernard also told me...
I'd still pick that black GT3 that's on car sales over that at that sort of money.
Well, I would as well, actually. I looked at that, this morning when I first woke up, I looked at that again to see what the GT3s were.
Just do it, mate.
Because someone sent me a message, and I always apologize because I can never remember because there's so many people, but I think it was on YouTube, actually. It was on the YouTube channel, Michael Bath. I'm going to plug the YouTube channel today. It was on the YouTube channel and it was on one of the videos where we're talking about that GT3, that we were talking about a white GT3 997, the one that's for sale at Autohouse Hamilton in Sydney. It's still there.
Yep.
Which is quite appealing. I looked at that again today, and I looked at that black one again today with the ceramic brakes. They're both very appealing. I mean, maybe the white one in Autohouse is not. Maybe that's quite okay. And then someone said to me, all the US GT3s had sunroofs.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
I didn't realize that in the US they were all sunroofs.
Obviously not
models.
RSs. You're just talking a standard 997 GT3.
Yeah, it was just a standard GT3. The RSs, no. The RSs, GT3 RS and GT2 didn't have sunroofs, but the 997 GT3s all came with the sunroof in the US market. So here I was thinking it's a bit weird. It's not that weird.
No, I don't think it's that weird at all. Because when you sort of read Renlist, people talk about it all the time. I think some people kind of, take the sunroof out and weld a new panel in and all that sort of stuff. But it's funny that because...
I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, you asked me about how come the one at Autohouse is sitting so long. And again, not that I would know, but I came across the thread on Porsche Forums Australia, where people kind of chatter about it, and it's kind of interesting because a couple of people were talking, and they were sort of saying, "Oh, the car's a bit schizophrenic," like it's got the Carrera GT seats, the lightweight bucket things in it, but then it's got a sunroof. But I don't know, I just kind of would have thought like I know the theory of it is that a GT car or, sort of more motorsporty sort of car shouldn't have a sunroof because it's the extra weight above you and it's in the wrong spot and all of that. And potentially some people don't use it. But I'll be honest, if that was me, and my GT3 had a sunroof, I'm not sure I'd stress about it that much because, for for the way that somebody like me uses it, I don't think it would make that much of a difference.
Well, in next week's
so I'm
owner
surprised
story,
that it's that polarizing.
Yeah, in next week's owner stories, Simon, who's coming up, we spoke about it because he's got a GT3. It's a GT3 story next week, and I think he does post on that forum on Porsche Forums Australia. I think we brought it; it came up. And he said the same thing. He wouldn't buy it with the sunroof, and I was of the same opinion.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't, and I was
right.
of the same opinion when I was talking to him, and that was a couple of weeks ago when I spoke to him.
Sure.
But then, I read the thing about the US market. I'm thinking, US market, they had sunroofs. And then when I saw that article, Steve, I also saw a 997 GT3 RS, which had a sunroof. There was a picture of an orange one, and someone had it circled saying, even these came with sunroofs. It doesn't feel right. I don't dislike the spec of that car. I mean, the sunroof it's one of those things where you have to make the decision, though, isn't it? It's like the wheels on my 997 when I bought it. It's like, no OEM wheels. I'm going to have to find them. I don't really want wheels like that. I'd rather have original wheels. But in the end, it would have been a really bad decision not to buy the car because of the wheels, right? Because it's an easy change.
Oh,
now,
crazy.
For wheels. But when it comes to a sunroof, like you're not really going to, weld up the roof and change it and get rid of the sunroof. But is it going to bother you that much?
For sure.
See, my point is I know
that's exactly
my
point.
Yeah, but my point is I know I never use a sunroof. It's not even about the weight. The fact is I never use one. I never use it. I never open it.
Which I kind of understand. Like I've pretty much most of my cars have had sunroofs. Like, my 993 did, my 964 did, my Audi S3 did, blah, blah, blah. And I did use them because I reckon it lets a bit of sound in. If you don't like driving with your windows down, open the sunroof and you kind of get a little bit more exhaust noise, blah, blah, blah. That's just me. I'm just surprised that it's that contentious for people, because even if you don't, so say for argument's sake it's you, like your habit is not, you've got a car that's got a sunroof but you don't use it, so therefore what's the kind of issue? Because then you just go, well, don't play with the switch, don't open it. Is it because there's a look, the look of it, that when it's closed it's got that sort of panel that you can sort of see in the roof line? Or are you worried about the kind of extra weight? Which, again, I would argue that unless you're a track rat, are you really going to notice a difference? And look, I'm just asking. I'm not really kind of stirring the pot, but I just found it interesting that people were so adamant that you can't have a GT3 with a sunroof.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know. If there's a right or wrong answer, but
there isn't.
I'm not saying I was never an anti-sunroof guy. It's just in the 911, I don't tend to use my sunroof. I'd rather just have the windows down a bit. In the Audis that I had, they had sunroof, and I used to use it all the time. I used to think it was cool. I used to use it. So, but I'll
tell you what I hate. I hate the sunroof in the Macan.
Really?
Yeah. All Macans in Australia, I believe, have the panoramic. Or maybe I'm misquoting it, but a lot of them, like when we were looking, most of them had this big glass panoramic sunroof. My wife's very sun conscious, so we don't use it, and I rarely drive it without her in the car. But the thing about it is that it's so hot because it's one big glass kind of panel in the Australian sun. It's so hot. It heats the car up, so whenever you kind of get in it, if it's not been parked indoors, it heats the car up way too much.
All right.
Even though it's got that sort of sunshade thing, which does jack all.
Is that an electric sunshade, or is it just a standard pull hand thing?
No, it's electric thing.
Electric. Fancy.
But just the full length glass sunroof. Somebody's got to do something about that. It's not very thermally smart, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm not. I can see the benefit of letting light in on these full glass roofs, but I'm not a fan of them. I'm really not a fan of them. But I do kind of understand them. And I know electric cars have them, and I've heard people say about the same thing with Teslas or whatever it is that have the glass roof, or whatever has the glass roof. Porsches have them now too, don't they? The Porsche Taycan. That, the heat, if you're in the wrong climate, the heat is just, it's no way of avoiding the heat in the car.
Like imagine Bahrain or something. That
in Bahrain you couldn't.
Australia's hotter, but it's horrendous in Sydney.
I saw those colours. Oh my god, that frozen berry, the frozen berry and the cappuccino color. Is it cappuccino? That other colour that's like a cappuccino beigey colour. I saw a picture of a Cayman in it. Because it comes in Caymans now. I think you can get the spider in it. I think you can even buy the spider in that colour, Steve. frozen berry. And you know what? I was looking at those colors and I think, I bet they're popular in Bahrain. I bet you start seeing them in Bahrain, especially that cappuccino sort of beigey color. I'm sure it'd be really, really popular.
Right.
They're funny. They're funny colors. It's definitely not cassis red, that frozen berry. I thought it was darker. It's more sort of like, I don't know,
it's
milkshake,
literally
light strawberry milkshake color or something.
Yeah, it looks like a yogurt kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, the GT3s, you know, GT3 values, you know, like I said, we're talking about Porsche values, you know what I mean, Porsche market. That GT3 in Autohouse Hamilton in Sydney, I think is a really good price. Yeah. It's actually a really good price. And as is that other one with, I kind of am very keen on, that black one I think is a really good one. And I don't understand why it hasn't sold because it's not that expensive for the mileage, like you said, and it's got ceramics, carbon ceramics and everything. But the one in Autohouse, it kind of makes sense to me the way the guys spec'd it. And so the listeners who haven't seen it know it doesn't have a roll cage. Right? Which I kind of like and I kind of don't like, but I think I kind of like it, the fact that it doesn't have the roll cage. It doesn't, you know, I don't know if I really need a roll cage in a GT3. And I know what they sound like and I know the noise of it and the fact that you can't stick anything. Yeah.
You don't need a roll cage in a street car. Like, you know, mine has one. What do I really kind of think? It's like, if it didn't have it, it would be a decent amount more practical.
But you can see the way that person spec'd that car, can't you, Steve? They put those, they've spec'd it with the seats, but the seats that tilt forward, that you can get to behind the seat, right?
Oh, it's got GT2 seats in it.
Yeah, it's got those seats. It's got the other seats, not your lightweight buckets. It's got the one.
I thought it had mine. Okay, yeah.
No, it's got the other ones. I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. It's got the other ones. I just looked at it before.
Right, okay.
It's got chrono pack. It's got xenons. You know, it's got a sunroof. Doesn't have the roll cage. You know, I think the guy's, he's thought about it. It's been a very personal car the way he spec'd it. You know what I mean? He's obviously spec'd it that way for a reason. He wanted it that way.
Yeah, if you just kind of come at it the other way, like if, for argument's sake, you had bought the car from brand new and you went for the non-club sport, it's like you. I bet you, like if you were in that position, you would kind of tick the box to get better seats, that's all.
Yeah.
So the comments about it being really schizophrenic again, I don't quite understand that because it's like, oh no, it's just like, it's a GT3, but somebody kind of put better seats in it, which is exactly what I would want.
Yeah, and some people have those seats in the 991. They have those seats in the 991, right? And some people have the other seats. So it just depends. But one's a bit cheaper as well. It could have been a price thing.
Yep. Yeah.
And also the really rare thing that came up for sale and international listeners, I think in the UK, I had a look actually the other day. There's a few for sale. They're not cheap. And I mainly looked at them because of the fact that I would listen to that podcast that you put me onto, the Car Chat podcast.
Sam Moore's. Yep.
Yeah, but that guy's out of a different league. I watched one of his videos. He just picked up an 812 Superfast Ferrari. I mean, for God's sake,
told you.
You know, like, you know, these aren't normal people. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like a nice guy, but they're not. They're not talking about normal people here that can just go out and just buy an 812 Superfast. And then I watched another video where he's driving around in his F40 Ferrari. I mean, he's got an F40 in blue. Like, I don't know.
I find him more watchable, listenable than, you know, somebody like Shmi or whatever. So
anyway. Shimi's getting a bit tiring. So anyway, the 997 GT3 RS is kind of in my head, and then Bernard actually in Brisbane, he sent me the link. It was at Porsche, the one I sent you, Steve, Porsche Melbourne, was it? Mm-hmm. The GT3 RS, which was owned by Jim Richards?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So there was a white with red decals 997 to GT3 RS.
Okay.
Yeah, white with red decals, right?
I thought it was black.
And it had about 14,000 kilometres on it. And one of the major sort of selling points was that it was owned by Jim Richards, but he'd done Targa Tasmania in it.
Yeah, and the message that I got from the guy that's coming up on Owner Stories, Bernard, he said to me that it was listed at Melbourne, right? It was 428,000 Australian dollars. This just shows you the state of the Porsche market at the moment, how crazy it is and how quick you have to be. It lasted 2 hours before it had on hold on it. So we obviously had it on a reminder, and it sold in 2 hours for 428. And, you know, When I went to Porsche South Sydney, when Seen Through Glass was in Australia, when he was doing his Australian tour, when I went and had a look at his car there, when he was there doing some event, I actually went to that. That's when I saw that GT3 RS in grey in their dealership. That's when they had it. And that was 379,000 Australian dollars. And it went down, I think in the end, they put it down to somewhere like 349 or 359, and then it disappeared. I don't know what kilometers that had on it, but that was the grey. To me, the grey's a better colour, the grey with the red wheels.
Yeah, better than white.
That's the better colour.
That's the perfect colour. Yep.
When you think about it, 428 is a lot, but 428 in that period, you know what I mean, Steve? Like that's probably 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, from 370, 350 to 420. That's not that much, considering the markets are all going a bit crazy.
It's just mental, though. I mean, look, there's a lot of the bits that I've kind of read. I've been off the grid for a little bit, but I've noticed there's a little bit of chatter with everybody sort of saying like 997 GT3 is kind of where it's at. Obviously, the 0.2 RS has always kind of been revered in the 4-litre, but there seems to be this thing where people are kind of just talking about 997 GT3s in general, which is obviously great for me, but it just seems to be kind of getting to that point where like the values really are kind of getting quite scary.
The values are getting scary, but the market, as in sales and how things how things sell so quickly, it scares me how people make, it scares me how quickly people make decisions. And I know everyone thinks I take a long time to make a decision, but it's not always about whether you have the funds or you don't have the funds. It's whether you can allocate those funds at a certain time, So if you're looking and you're making these decisions, and these, looking at Bring a Trailer, it's not just Porsche, Steve. It's like, there was some GT40 on there the other day, had no kilometers, no miles on it. And then there was another one a couple of weeks before, and they go for crazy money, absolutely crazy, crazy money. A car that hasn't been driven, that people are saying that all the seals and everything's going to be changed, have to be changed over because the car's sat for how many years since it was new and done, 20 miles or something, or 50 miles or something. But I just want to go into that auction.
You're talking collectors, though, right?
You're talking collectors, yeah, but I want to go into that collection.
Which is different too. I'd argue that somebody that's buying a no miles kind of collector, or what you're about to kind of get into, the Leonard Connection type, somebody that's going to buy into that would have a very different sort of headspace, mindset, to somebody like you or I, or a wealthier version of you or I.
Well,
kind of thing.
Let's get on to the Leonard Collection. You know what I mean? Bring a Trailer, there are some collectors, and some cars come up on the premium site, on the listings, that obviously are collector cars that a normal person wouldn't just buy and drive because the amount of money you're going to lose. Well, I wouldn't think a normal person would just buy and drive. Now, the Leonard Collection, I had a look at it. I watched the video. I didn't realize there was a video. I actually saw it the other night when about midnight when I was trying to go to sleep, and I saw it come up on their Instagram. And I thought, what in the hell is this? There was a picture of all these Porsches. And then I went on to collecting cars and I saw it. And then the next morning I had about 5 messages from different people saying, got to watch this video. You're going to really enjoy it. So, I don't know if everyone's seen the video, but if you haven't seen the video, because I know some of the US viewers aren't that familiar with collecting cars. But it's Chris Harris. It's
everyone else's version, the rest of the world's version of Bring a Trailer, basically.
Yeah, so it's another one of these auction sites. It's done by Edward Lovett, and Chris Harris has something to do with it. I'm not sure. I think Edward Lovett is the founder of it. He's the one that owns it. He's been selling, and I think he used to have a singer. I don't know whether he still does. So, there's some amazing cars there, and you watch a Chris Harris video, and it's, you're a kid in a candy store, and there's so many cars. But the first thing I found quite surprising, Steve, is that I looked at it that night, and I don't know when it came up on collecting cars, but everything was no reserve, and everything already had a crazy dollar amount against it. Like, I was struggling to find something, and the only one that I found that only had a lower value, which I quite like, it was the 911S in that blue color. You know what I mean? The 70s 911S, which was £55,000, which is now I think it's £65,000. Because I saw a similar one in Italy, and I sent it to Nick at the Classic Series and I think I might have sent it to you or someone else. And I thought, that one's really cool. That one's only 55. And that was like the only one in my price point. And then when you watch the video, like all those RSs, there's no mileage on them. That Club Sport, there's no mileage. Who is Leonard? That's what I want to know. Who is Leonard?
That's exactly what that's the first thing that I Googled after I watched that video. Is like, who who is the dude that had all these kind of cars, or who is the she that has this amazing collection? But don't know. Doesn't. It's just it's an incredible collection.
But even the Carrera GT in the yellow, it's like
it's
such
cool.
a brave color to buy. Like you're buying a Carrera GT and you buy speed yellow. You know, everyone buys the black or the silver, and you buy speed yellow. You know what I mean? So it means you've got
faience yellow. It's not even speed
is
yellow.
It? Yeah, and you've got which means one. You know, you look at the collection. It's like, okay, he's got plenty of money. He's actually got pretty good taste. You know what I mean? He's got a good, well-rounded collection. And of course, he's a bit like Zuckerman. He didn't buy one GT3, GT3 4.0, whatever it is. He bought two, the white and the black, 997. Because you got to have both colors. But when you think of it as a buying proposition, it makes sense. You buy one, and one had more mileage than the other, didn't it? Wasn't one had lower mileage and one had more mileage? So you buy one, drive one, and keep the other one, and then you've still made, so much money in the transaction because they've just appreciated by so much. What was your pick out of those cars? Was there one that stood out to you? I mean, the RSs I thought were pretty cool. The RSs were pretty cool.
They're all pretty kind of amazing. Like the 4 litres, I'm just scrolling through it now. Even the 88 kind of club sport, which would be pretty rare. That's the one that Chris Harris kind of bangs on about because that's the one car that he regrets kind of selling the most. It's only got like 6,500.
That one's pretty cool,
miles,
isn't it?
Yeah. There's a 911R in there.
The Speedster, the 997 Speedster.
Yeah, not my favourite. I'd gladly pass over that for something else.
The 1973, the ex-Jamiroquai car, which I'm reckoning was Jamiroquai. The 1973 Porsche 911, he said it was owned by a guy in a hat who dances a lot, so I'm guessing that was Jamiroquai.
Oh, the purple one?
The purple one, which is up to 350,000. The one I like was the 1971 Porsche 911 T 2.2, left-hand drive.
What colour
That's only 62,000. That's really he actually liked it too. Chris Harris, he said it was a good one as well. What else is good, mate? There's got a 911R.
There's nothing there that you just kind of go, I don't really like that.
No,
they're all like kind of pretty amazing. All these 964 RSs as well. There's one with 164 kilometres.
I know. The red one, isn't it? Was that the red one?
Yeah, the red one, the Guards red one.
Yeah, so there's the 911, there's a 964 Turbo 3.3. That's at 82,000. Mm-hmm. That's not bad either, that blue one. If you got the page open, the blue one is actually not a bad one. And then there's the 1991 Carrera RS with 164 kilometres from new. A lot of left-hand drive cars. You notice that? There was quite a few left-hand drives in the collection.
Yeah.
GT3 RS 991, GT2 RS with Visac pack. It's just like heaven. It's just like Porsche heaven.
Who is this person?
But
I'm assuming too that the kind of person that's bidding on this sort of stuff, like surely this is kind of Jerry Seinfeld territory, I don't know, even that
you would
that Damien, the car guy who I think he bought something recently off collecting cars. You really got to have like a hell of a lot of money, and you got to be a serious collector to start kind of getting into a car that's got 124 miles on it.
You look at this auction and you think, people like Zuckerman or Spike Ferguson or Seinfeld, they must be looking at this because there's left-hand drivers there. There's US cars. Well, they could be European cars, actually, not necessarily. They're probably European cars, right? They're probably not US cars. But for someone like that, the RS. If you wanted an RS, an immaculate RS, you've got the choice of 2, haven't you, or 3?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Do you know when you listen to like all those sorts of things with those guys that go on Smoking Tire podcast, the people that source all of the cars for the collectors, what's his name? Serio, is it? Or
yeah. I forget
those types of people. It sounds like though that in that kind of sphere, everybody knows where the cars are at. There's only a finite number of Carrera GTs and people know who own them, and it's just a matter of waiting for somebody to kind of, realise that they're happy to kind of move it along. So,
but I think you're right. But the thing is, like you said about the GT thing, like this whole Porsche market at the moment, Steve, it's people can't buy a new Porsche. Apparently, even in Australia, I read some article that people's orders have been set back. Did you read that article?
Yeah.
I don't know where it was. People's orders have been pushed back. There's like 12-month waiting lists on new 911s. This microchip shortage around the world is causing issues for car manufacturers as well. So people are looking at classic market, people are looking at used market. It's pushing up used values. It's pushing up used Porsche values, which is good for us, owning old Porsches, of course, getting old Porsches now, so it helps us. But I don't know where it's going to end. Where is it going to end? Is it going to be a bubble that bursts? Is it going to get to the point where it just has to stop and come back down again? I don't know.
Does it end? I don't know. It's just weird. It probably, and it's fueled by, like a lot of the sort of journos and stuff kind of banging on about how peak car is sort of around 2000 to 2010, that sort of rough decade is where everybody's kind of saying that that's where, cars were at their best. And a lot of cars in this collection are pretty much in that sort of time period.
But even you think about, we go back to that same thing we always talk about is you're coming in, 996s are getting up there, depending on which country you're in, 996s are getting higher in price, 997s are high in price, unless you have a lot of fun. So what do? You buy a Boxster. Nothing wrong with getting a Boxster. You can get a 986 Boxster still or a 987 Boxster. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then do you look at transaxles? Do you look at the 968, the 944, the 928s? 928s are getting up there. I sent you that really good example, which I think is a fantastic example. And Autohouse have two of them at the moment. That 968 in white, the manual 968 in white. And for the listeners, that's for sale at Autohouse as well for 68,000 Australian dollars.
968 or
968.
968, yeah.
968 in white. With the pop-up lights, they're not covered. So it's manual. It's in pretty good nick. It's 125,000 kilometers or so, 120,000 kilometers. And he's also got a convertible as well. It looks like it's the same owner because the service stamps and that are the same people at some kind of weird service place. I have a funny feeling the Cabriolet as well, and both of those are from the same person. They're just selling them for the same person. It's manual as well. It's a Cabriolet manual. I mean, if you wanted a 968 Cabriolet, it's actually a pretty good example as well. I think it's got lower kilometers than the hardtop. It's a little bit cheaper. I think it's 10 grand cheaper. So maybe you get into a 968 or a 944 or something like that. I guess you can still...
They're still not cheap.
No,
they're still not cheap at all.
And then you look at the US market, which I thought was like a treasure haven or a treasure chest, to get a cheap car. But then, the US market now is just, there's so much competition. You know what I mean? Unless you're getting something off the record, off the market, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a lot of competition. And from what I've heard from someone that reached out to me who wants to be on a Future Owner Stories, they're friends with I'm not going to mention who it is actually, I'll tell you later, but they're friends with someone who's quite a well-known dealer in Sydney, and said maybe that I would want to talk to them on the podcast, just about the values and also about how many cars are selling that are not even advertised. There's so many cars selling that are not even getting to market. And I think James of Porsche Platz at RSR Classics, he also said the same thing. James has been on the podcast, that there's so many deals are being done, in the background that you don't even know about. So many cars are coming up. So it's going to be harder and harder though, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. Slightly different thing, but I told you my other cousin decided that he wanted to get rid of his Golf R and move up a notch. So he was kind of horsing around, and he was asking questions about how to go about buying a used car because he's always bought new cars. He's wound up sort of looking at M3s, but it's like, I don't think car sales is the only way to do it. I'd start kind of trawling through forums and go to some good independent kind of dealers and just tell them that that's what you're after kind of thing, because if you can kind of secure a car before it actually hits car sales, then that's even better, really.
That's what you want to do, don't you? Get it before it hits the market. You want to do that like Nick, who bought the 912 in the UK, who found it through some forum and then got it, wasn't even advertised, a 912. And a lot of people send me 912s, and a lot of them are on sites I haven't heard of before. A lot of them are on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, which I never really look at that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the times I can't even access Facebook Marketplace. I get a link and I can't even access it. I don't know why it blocks me out.
It's hard to get to, yeah.
Yeah, it blocks me out for some reason. I don't know why. But I guess that's the way you need to do it. I'm kind of in hold mode at the moment, as you know, and as I've said before. And it's frustrating because, there are a couple of cars that have come up in the last week, which I really do like. I do like that blue one on collecting cars. I do like the idea of a 911T. I haven't hit it before, the extra power. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then Beverly Hills Car Club had a 3-dial 66 912 came up in matching numbers in slate gray. They still have it. It hasn't sold. And it's only $49,000 US. It needs a bit of work, I think. Engine-wise, it looks like it does. You can't see the flaws. But it's an original matching color slate gray one, Steve. And I really love the slate gray. That's like the color you want.
Nice
and it's
color.
only $49,000. Yep. Like it's $49,000 US, which is so cheap, And I'm so, this is the thing when I talk to people on owners' stories, I could talk about this in years to come. My story is that, eventually I'll get one. But this thing at the moment where it's just holding me back, where I can't move at the moment until, something else is settled, which is, I guess there's worse things to happen, but, it could be worse. But it's just a bit frustrating that you can do it, but you just sort of got to hold because, you've got to be a bit sensible, I guess.
Look, I've said it before. I just, with the whole kind of market seemingly going nuts, like, I wonder if it is a bubble and whether it will burst and all of that sort of stuff. But it is just really scary because, if for whatever reason I didn't have my my 997 GT3, there's no way that I could afford to kind of get back into this sort of market.
Sell it to me, I'll buy it off you. 200,000, 200K. Cheap.
You might have to go up a little bit, mate. But yeah, like it is pretty kind of it is quite kind of full on when you sort of think about it like that. Who knew that it would become so valuable?
Yeah, true. You know what I think though? I think that these because of COVID and because of things that have been going on and the car market, because this classic market is happening and because the used market, there really is now a really huge demand for these curated car people, and I'm going to use other terms like car concierge and things like that, and and like Greg in the US with First Flat 6. You know what I mean? With helping people with the 996 and 99, because he's, Greg always sends me messages and he really does have a lot of information about 996s. He knows a lot more than I do. And you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I always learn stuff from him when he tells me something or, even in the podcast that time. But this thing, Steve, where I think there really is a market for it, don't you? That you need someone to... It's like that stereo guy. It's like those people, you want someone... There's such a market there to help people find what they're after. Because it is... If you don't know, it's really like a bit daunting, isn't it? Like you said, your cousin, is it? Looking for a used car when he's never bought a used car. He's only bought a new car. Even that side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in sort of two minds about it because, look, I guess they've probably, people like James at Porsche Platz obviously has access to cars that, through his kind of network because he's been in the industry for so long. That obviously is super helpful if you're kind of looking for something that's very hard to kind of find. Don't know. Car hunting is such a strange sort of thing. Like, I think some people enjoy the thrill of the chase, though, as well. Like, part of the journey is actually kind of doing all the research and sort of getting to that sort of spot. So paying somebody to do it, don't know if it's, like you miss out on some of that experience potentially.
Yeah, but, like...
Depends on who you are and, what you like kind of thing.
No, but even, new cars, like I said, new car concierge, Luke that was on previous owner stories, you know what I mean? And the service that he gives with new cars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not easy, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't know if and James at Porsche Platz. James does it for Porsche, you know what I mean? It's RSR Classics, and James does the same thing, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you looking for? He has the contacts, they find it for you, they do the groundwork. He knows a lot of these cars that come up, you know what I mean? He knows about them. I mean, I sent him a car. I sent James at RSR Classics Porsche Platz on Instagram something, and he said, yeah, I know that car. It's not, it's not blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it helps to have people like that. It really does help to have people like that to guide you when you're looking for something, especially with Porsche, I think.
Yeah.
Hey,
James just sold his, he sold the...
SC?
Yeah. The red SC.
Yeah, he sold the SC. I saw that. He's still got the race car. I think he's still got the
cup car.
The cup car,
Yep.
the Fitzgerald one. Yeah.
Yep.
Coming up next week is another cup car story. That's why it'll be an interesting one for you. Next week's owner stories.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good one too.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know how I got to manage to speak to two people with cup cars. It's quite crazy. Like, how many people have cup cars? Yeah, I thought they were so rare. But they are rare. But.
Yeah, they're rare. Very specific, I suppose.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about. A couple of weeks ago I was talking about Stuttgart Klassiker, the gear knob, because Nick in the UK sent me it and he was going to get it for his 997. I haven't bought mine yet. I was going to buy it.
Did Nick get his?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked with him. He's going to be in London next week, actually. So I will actually see him on one day here in the beginning of the week. But I'm not sure if he bought it. I told Steve about it, just for the listeners. I told Steve about it. He didn't seem too interested at all, of course. And then I sent him another link. And then I sent him another link from Lathe Werks? Whatever you call it. What is it called?
Lathe Works.
Lathe Werks. I sent him the other one from Lathe Werks. I sent someone else that link too. Which is in the US, and I thought Steve would like that because you can, spec it all out. He didn't really say much for a couple of weeks, and what happened, Steve?
I ordered one.
You ordered one. Okay, just so everyone remembers, I'm going to remind everyone, Steve has carbone gear shifts that he also bought. Now, 1997 GT3, how many gear shifts do we need, Steve?
4 or 5. Yeah, I was in a bit of a rut. Put it that way. The whole new parenthood experience has been quite intense. So I don't know what happened. I think I was just kind of going, "Oh man, what the hell's going on?"
Has it arrived yet?
No. I think it takes the dude, really nice guy. What's his name? Chris. I think he might be a German guy based in the US, but I think it takes him like 2 business weeks to kind of turn it around. Then he'll have to kind of ship it and all of that kind of stuff. But
yeah. And this is not an ad, of course, but if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, what is it? Lathe, Lathe, Lathe Werks, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Lathe Werks.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the description of the YouTube video, actually. If you go to the YouTube Michael Barth, when this comes up on YouTube, the audio, I'll put in the link in that so people can see it. But I thought he was quite...
the link from Renlist, yeah.
Yeah, there was an article on Renlist about it. I did a search, I came across it, and then I did another search, and then a Renlist forum came up, and people were saying how great it was. And then someone said, he would do a shorter rod for them, and someone said that he would change something else. But basically, he has this page, and it's a shifter, and it's polycarbonate, like the plastic ones, isn't it? Is it plastic?
Yeah.
Black
Plastic.
the black sort of ones, and you can get it. The benefit of his over Stuttgart Klassiker, and they look the same, is you can option it very, very well. So you can have silver inset in the laser etch, you can have white, you can have black, you can have white, you can have black knobs, can't you, Steve? You can have
not
different kind of notching, different kind of engraving. There's quite a lot of differences you can add to it. It gets quite confusing, actually. I found it a bit confusing after a while.
Not wanting to mess up on Stuttgart Klassiker, but to me they look very similar. I can't tell whether or not they're actually the same sort of thing or not. So
yeah, I thought they were the same.
I opted for it. Well, I opted for it because it was cheaper, and I'm a tight ass, and I was just kind of horsing around trying to look at the spec of it, and I kind of measured it up against like a standard kind of shifter and my 911 Outlaw one, just to kind of see what the basic dimensions are like, because it looked a little bit chunky.
No, I think
for my aesthetic taste, but so in the end, I shortened it by an inch.
I think what you did, and I was going to bring that up actually for anyone that's listening that wants to get one. I think what you did was correct. Yeah. Nick had sent me through the dimensions of his shifter, and then I looked at the drawing on
standard shifter.
Yeah, then I looked at the drawings on Lathe Werks site, and this was after you sent me the message saying you bought one and you made it shorter.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the dimensions. I thought, why Steve made it shorter? But it kind of is about an inch too long. Like when you look at the one, too tall, on the Lathe Werks one, it is about an inch too long. I don't think the thickness of the rod, the shaft, is any different to the one on Stuttgart Klassiker. Stuttgart Classica, I asked him about the length. He said it was about the same length, but he didn't know for sure, which made me think when he said that they didn't actually make them because he wasn't sure. So that made me think again that are they getting them from the Lathe Werks guy? Because, the Lathe Werks price is very, very cheap. And if you add margin on, it's almost like it makes sense that they do actually buy it from this guy in the US. So that's why I haven't bought one from Stuttgart Classica yet, because I do want one, but I'm still haven't completely decided whether I should get the one from Lathe Werks.
If you want, you can hold out and see what this one turns out like.
It
was a bit of an experiment because really
that's what
for
I was
me,
getting to. So I can wait to see yours now, and then I can make the decision easier.
I'm the guinea pig.
Yes,
because it was definitely an impulse thing, but I think I sort of said it to you at the time when I ordered the wooden one from Joel via Carbone. Ideally, I actually kind of wanted to see if he could just sort of supply me with the black plastic kind of knob as well. So I could just kind of switch that out, but that wasn't really an option. So I always quite liked the look of it.
Okay, so Stuttgart Classica is the store, I think, that has the wooden knobs, and I think they were the shopper that I was trying to think of. They're the ones that sell the real Dave Mason knobs. I think that's where they get them from. I'm pretty sure that was... Remember ages ago I was telling you there was a shop that sold the real Dave Mason, and I couldn't remember what it was called. I think it's Stuttgart...
I thought that was TRE in the States.
I thought it was Stuttgart Classica had it as well, because they have wooden knobs.
Okay.
I think the ones they have are from him though.
Okay.
What is it though for the listeners? Because the listeners are probably going, what is it with the wood knob? Was there anything with the wood knob that you didn't like? Because now you're changing it and you wanted the black one. Is there something about the wood knob that you didn't like after using it for a few months?
No. No. So to be very, very upfront about it, nothing wrong with any of it.
Is it because you could never remember what gear you're in, so you need the one with the numbers on the top?
No. It's nothing to do with anything like that.
Does your wood one have the numbers on top?
No, it doesn't. And I prefer it without it.
It's confusing though, isn't it? How would you know?
Some of us know how to drive, mate. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just because at the moment my car's, I put the standard shifter back in, the one that came with the car.
You went back shifter. Standard. So are you, and you mentioned, and the listeners will remember the Vice Gold wheel situation. Are you thinking about putting your gold wheels back on your car?
I am.
Are you going to upgrade them? Are you going to get them refurbished or they're all okay?
No, they're in really good nick. I actually was killing time yesterday when I was here by my lonesome. My wife took the kids out, so I went down and I pulled the wheels out to have a kind of quick look at it and give them a little bit of a wax. So they're in really good nick, and I still very much like the colour and everything. So
well, I had a really good chat. I thought of you actually, and I just want to interrupt because you're talking about the wheels. I had a really good chat with another owner that's coming up who's got a GT3, another GT3 owner, but a new GT3.
Yep.
And he runs the 4S wheels on his GT3.
4S wheels?
The Michelin Pilot Sport, whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah, tyres.
Yeah, the tyres, the tyres, which you were thinking of. And he said they were really good.
And what did he say?
They're really good.
I think it might be...
But he drives, he uses his car as a daily driver and he drives in the snow and everything,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Look, I suspect that the difference between a Cup 2 and a 4S, the way that I drive, and I still kind of try to avoid driving in the rain sort of thing, I bet you I can't tell the difference. But, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, you're going to get rid of the Cup 2s and try a different tyre on the wheel, on the Gold wheels.
I think so. I don't know. I think so. Like, I think if I was buying a brand new set of tyres right now, I don't think I'd go Cup 2s again. I think I'd make the switch to a 4S.
What?
Yep.
Okay. What are the centre caps on the Weiss Gold wheels? I can't remember. Are they the coloured cap?
They're both the same. Yeah, they're both coloured crests.
Coloured crests on gold. I remember those wheels. I like those wheels. It's going to be interesting to see them on your car, actually, because last time you had them on, you had it with the decal on the side, the stripe. So it's kind of nice how it's just fresh, A lot of people tell me not to take my stripes off, but I'm still tempted to take them off.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Like, with regards to, why 4 shift knobs, why X number of, seat inserts and all that sort of stuff. Just because I'm an idiot. But I think it's just at the moment, having stayed very much at home during COVID and all that kind of thing, you're just looking for things to kind of keep your interest up.
Oh, you've got all this excess money, mate. You've got all this excess money.
Yeah. So much money. So much money. I'm about to go and have a shower in, $100 bills, but no, like, because like I have very much stuck to myself. I haven't seen many friends. I haven't kind of gone out much at all. More than like 12 months, it'd be probably more like 18 months. Man, I'm just looking for things to do.
Yeah, I know. I mean...
looking for cheap thrills, basically.
Yeah, I know. I've actually been very, very good lately. I don't look at...
You have to be, though.
I haven't been looking... Yeah, because of the situation at the moment, I haven't been looking at I haven't been looking at Amazon. I haven't been looking at clothing sites, which, I do like to buy the odd piece of clothing. And I saw an email this morning and it was like, I shouldn't have seen it because then I wanted to click on it. And then I clicked on it and then it was like, no, I can't spend that much.
Yeah.
And then even the car things, like there's my whole car list. And there's a big list, as you know, from the sills to the shifter, all those things that I want to buy. I haven't bought anything, even though there's been discount codes being sent to me. I just haven't bought anything. Which is really weird for me because it seems really weird,
I'm just, stuff like, fire extinguishers and all that, like generally I just kind of go, don't need that.
Well, I owe you money, actually. I owe you money, so that's in my head too because I got to pay a couple $100 or whatever it is.
$16, mate. 16 Australian dollars, it's okay.
The number plate thing, I got to pay for that. That's a couple of $100.
That's all right.
So I got to remember all the money I've got to pay out.
It's not that expensive, but like... It's just, I don't know, just because of the kind of current sort of situation, it's very easy at the moment because it is like a hobby, as I'm sure like a lot of other people
got to buy Dogecoin or Shiba Inu coin or something, I've got to make a quick return, $10,000 return, 10,000 times return.
Yeah, no, I know how to spend it. I'm not going to gamble it.
All right, mate. Let's call it a day. Cool. It's been an hour. Cool. It's an hour. Steve's got things to do. It's 11:30. It's almost midnight here in London, so I've got to go.
Cool.
Anything else, mate?
Nope. All good. Sorry about last week again.
Good to have you back.
I'll catch you at some point, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll organise it in the coming weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, mate. Take care. Have a good week.
I didn't ask you if you've been on a drive and I didn't ask you about Marco's 996 Turbo. We'll talk about that next week, maybe.
No, I haven't been on one and we are maybe going for one this weekend. So, yeah, I'll update you next week.
Cool. All right. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
All right, everyone. That was Steve coming in from Sydney, Australia. Sunny Sydney. Steve's got a 997 GT3 with three shift knobs.
That's full, mate.
4 shift knobs, is it? Okay. My name is Michael Barth. This is the PorscheCooled podcast. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.